let's call it maybe rendition number 2 of the piece we were talking about just a few days ago, having to do with U.S. tax dollars flowing to China's kind of premier rare earth laboratories.
That thing has still got me upset. I've actually made some calls.
Trigger warning.
No. I made some calls because I said, how can we possibly be doing this? They're using the rare earths against us, and we're actually funding the Rare Earth Institute studies.
But that fits perfectly in Chinese military code,
yes.
Right? Strangling you with your own systems, subduing the enemy with what we have going on here, winning the war without firing a shot, right? That's what they did, and it always goes back to the 4-year interregnum between both Trump terms, where they shored up all the shortages that they viewed that they had from phase 1 of negotiations. So I guess we got to really square up the rare stuff.
Was the Lighthizer, when they realized they were about to sign up for a deal that would put them in, and so they tore it up in our faces and nothing. Then we got the skinny deal, and they launched COVID, the pandemic, and they never effectuated anything in the skinny deal. But they learned that lesson in those 4 years under Biden. They were going to make it Trump-proof when it came back. They were going to make it China hawk-proof.
You can see they consolidated basically all their state-owned rare earth and magnet companies into one, the China Rare Earth Group, in 2021. And they rolled hard. And it wasn't just within the borders of China. It was everywhere. And they were very successful. So that's the USAID. What is USAID doing for rare earth? It's an absolute clown show. But the latest example, it's actually even worse in terms of who's involved and how far-reaching it is. We have actually been funding the State Key Laboratory for Semiconductors, too, with funds coming not just from the Department of Energy and the National Science Foundation, also the Navy, the Army, DARPA, and the National Institutes of Health.
So we're in what is called a chip war. Right? How can we're talking about the defense of Taiwan. Do we defend it to South China Sea? We're trying to move the plants over here to Arizona as quickly as possible. We realize it's going to be 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. How at the same time can there be a think tank or research area that they basically control to essentially help them, and that we have various institutions of the United States government, particularly ones in national security,
the Army. I mean, like,
how does this
full
happen?
Stop. The Army is funding the tip of the spear of China's semiconductor war.
Is it subversion, or is it just the system is so globalist? They're such globalists, and they see them as a pure competitor and not as an existential threat. Is that the reason, both in the rare earths and here in the semiconductor, that the rational argument you can make is that people in here, they're like Fauci in the Wuhan lab, the research that NIH was doing? Or is it something darker?
Well, I think China views it accurately like a Thucydides trap, a sort of Athens-Sparta-esque replacement power vibe and dynamic, and they see that and they view us as the power that they will replace. I think the scientists here don't view it like that.
That's what I'm saying. In the decline, Fauci would never live near Wuhan because science was such a high temple. It was bigger than China, than the United States. Is that the problem here with the rare earths? It's just, why are these people continuing to do it? And hey, no offense, Pete Hegseth and Russ Vought, love you guys, but why is this not broomed? Why would you just do an NDAA at $1.2 trillion, and this is not the first thing you rip out of it?
Well, I think it goes back to all the reporting that I've done that we focused on this show. It is elite merger, right? It's the idea of managed decline. But I mean, if they're going after these low-level mayors, they're going all the way up to the top. We obviously saw that with Joe Biden. But I think that the difference, and I think you even sort of see it reflected in the MAGA ethos right now, the Chinese Communist Party understands the inflection point of history and the time we're at. I don't think our leaders have ever really understood that, because
hang on, slow down. Give me that again.
The Chinese Communist Party, it's not just the typical critique of that they think in decades, we think in 4-year terms or whatever.
Right.
They view the arc of history, right? They understand that rare earths, this sort of unrestricted warfare approach, empirically is how they will overtake the United States. They learned from us what happened in the graveyard of empires, Afghanistan, right? They don't want to have to fire a shot.
No, if they have to fight foreign devils, kinetic warfare, they think that's a loss just to begin with, right? They are going to do this, either psychological warfare, economic warfare, political warfare, the whole
they're doing it.
Technology warfare, communications warfare. And so you're saying that is their strategy, and they just view the West as too weak, right, to step up to it. And you got to admit, when you see these types of things we're funding, whether it's Wuhan Lab, whether it's the Rare Earths Research Institute, or here on semiconductors, all three of those are primary major. They look at it as weapons of war, right? We look at it as a way to have a group share with these guys. It's just a total difference in mentality.